Taller displays seem to be all the rage these days, and it was only a matter of time before someone decided to implement it on a mid-ranger. One of the first such offerings from a tier 1 brand is LG's Q6. So should the Q6 be your next phone? Well, let's find out in today's video. But before we do, if this is your first time here, or in case oogling at that jaw-dropping screen-to-body ratio has blanked your mind, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and welcome to our review of the LG Q6. Let's get started. Starting off where we always do, we have the built-in design. The Q6 looks and feels great. That 2:1 or 18:9 aspect ratio means the Q6 is quite narrow at just 69.3 millimeters. And add to it the fact that the bezels to the top and bottom are greatly reduced, it feels just as good in hand as it does to look at. The Q6 shares roughly the same footprint as the iPhone 7. The difference here is that while Apple's managed a mere 4.7 inches, LG's managed to cram in a 5.5-inch full vision display in here. It's not too bulky either, given that it's just 8.1 millimeters thick and weighs in at 150 grams. LG has also used Series 7000 Aluminium for the frame, the same one used by Apple for the iPhone 7. The Q6 has US military standard 810G certification, so it should be quite sturdy and be able to bear the brunt of a few drops. The back though is made out of plastic. While it would be easy to call plastic cheap, I don't really care about the material used as long as it has a great ergonomic feel, and this back feels great. But, yep, there's a but. It is a hell of a fingerprint magnet. It picks up fingerprints and worse, smudges with ease. I'm also not a fan of rear-facing speakers. I thought that's something we've moved past, but LG brings it back in 2017. The speaker itself is not too loud, it's about average, but it's quite easy to muffle given the placement. Another weird decision is the omission of a fingerprint scanner. Again, I thought we've moved past that, but LG brings it back in 2017. Nonetheless, instead we're given face recognition, and this one works with the screen off. But here's yet another but. It works only under the perfect circumstances. You need to be in a well-lit place with the light source not behind you. You need to hold the phone at the right angle, at the right distance. Well, after 2 days, I just resorted to using the pattern to unlock. Hell, I'd prefer the old knock code rather than this implementation of facial recognition. For what it's worth, LG haven't cut out the 3.5mm headphone jack, and the audio output via that is quite decent. Now, barring these cons, the build quality is excellent, the Q6 feels premium in hand. It is also a bit of a head turner. I've had at least a couple of people ask me, what's the phone I'm using? Additionally, the Q6 also happens to be very single-hand usage friendly, and that, for those of you who have been following me for a while, know it's something I really adore. Now all this is possible because of that taller display. This is a Full HD IPS LCD panel with an 18:9 aspect ratio, meaning 2160 by 1080 pixels, resulting in a pixel density of 442 pixels per inch. That's quite good in this segment. I've got mixed feelings about this display. It looks nice, sharp, the viewing angles are excellent, but it's got a few cons as well. One, it's a little bit on the cooler side of the spectrum. Two, there's a bit of software over sharpening going on. Don't know why LG would want to do that, given the pixel density is already a very respectable 442 pixels per inch. And finally, it's not too bright. It is still serviceable outdoors, but a little more difficult to use than other phones in this segment. Now, back to the pros of this display. It is covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass 3 for protection. Overall, while the display does have its share of cons, the pros do seem to outweigh them, and on the display front, LG seems to have done a decent job. Now, let's move on to the cameras, and here's what Sundar had to say about them in our dedicated camera review.
The 13-megapixel f2.2 rear camera captures pictures that have a lot of detail. The color reproduction is quite good, and the dynamic range is above average. The details from the shadows are retrieved. Indoors, the image quality takes a hit. We can see some noise, but the images still have quite some detail, and the color reproduction is good. I feel they are a tad underexposed though. Under low light, the performance deteriorates further, thanks to the relatively narrow f2.2 aperture that doesn't let in as much light as in some other phones in this segment. leading to the ISO levels being cranked up, meaning a lot of noise all over the image. The colors do pop thanks to the boosted saturation, but the image quality itself isn't great. The wide-angle front-facing camera can capture some really nice selfies. They are moderately sharp with good colors and dynamic range. The field of view here is 100 degrees, something I haven't seen on phones in this segment. I'm impressed. Q6 can shoot 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. And once again I'm impressed here. I'm sure you'd be too. Look at the stability. That's EIS by the way. The quality of the footage too is above average. It isn't very sharp, but the colors are pretty accurate and the dynamic range is very good.
For a more in-depth look at these cameras, do check out our dedicated camera review. I'll leave a card here. And let's now move on to the specs. The Q6 is powered by the Snapdragon 435 chip. Now this is an octa-core chip built on the 28nm manufacturing process with all 8 cores locked up to 1.4 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 505 GPU, 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of onboard storage. The chip here feels quite underpowered. With regular usage, it's fast enough for most apps, but with some apps, there's noticeable lag. I noticed it especially with Chrome and Twitter while I scroll through either websites or my feed. With gaming, the Q6 can run most regular titles with ease, but the more intense the title gets, the more the chip underneath struggles. If gaming's high on your list of priorities, this one's not for you. Now, the Q6 runs on Android 7.1.1 Nougat with LG's LG UI 5.0 on top. There's no app drawer, but you can enable it if you want to. While LG's UI is quite different from stock, it does feel responsive for the most part. Doesn't feel like it weighs down on the hardware. There is support for a comfort view option to apply a blue light filter and make looking at the display under low light a more comfortable experience. There's an app scaling option that lets you manually force apps to scale. While I like the fact that LG's provided the option here, I do wish the implementation was better. Now, for example, with Samsung, you jump into an app. If you find it doesn't scale automatically, you just hit the recent key and force it to scale. Whereas here with LG, you jump out, go to settings, force it to scale. I mean, it is a few more steps, but given that quite a few apps don't scale automatically, given that 18:9 aspect ratios are relatively new technology, I just couldn't help my longing for an easier to use scalability option. And with that, let's talk battery. This is an area where LG has done quite well. The 3000 mAh battery inside managed to get me through a day of moderate use on one single charge on each of the 6 days that I used this phone as my primary. My kind of moderate usage involves Wi-Fi or 4G being on all day, a lot of social media and mails, meaning a ton of push notifications, a bit of streaming video, a couple of hours of music via Bluetooth, an hour or so of calls, and it still managed to get me through the day without any issues. Now, on that note, let's move on to price. The Q6 in India is priced at 15,000 rupees. Converted, that should be about $235 US. But in other parts of the world, this phone is priced much higher. Anyway, even at 15,000 rupees, the Q6, barring the 18:9 display and impressive stabilization for video, doesn't have much to offer. Now, if the fact that this device looks unique and can turn heads means more to you than anything else, you are open to dealing with slightly sluggish performance and the lack of a fingerprint scanner, then the Q6 might work for you. But for the vast majority, there are much better offerings in this price segment. If you do want to check out our top picks for phones priced under 15,000 rupees, do check out this video. So that's it for my take on the LG Q6. Do you agree with what I've had to say in this video? Let us know in the comments below. If you do want to pick a LG Q6 up, I'll leave direct links in the description below. If you hated this video, I'm sure you know what to do. But if you did, like it, give it a big huge thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. If you have already subscribed, hit that bell icon so that you get notified each time a new video goes live here on C4eTech. So that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Oh yeah, if you think there's anybody you know, a friend, family member who would like to know more about the Q6, please do share this video with them. So yeah, kind of missed that part out. So thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this here's Ash. You've been watching C4eTech and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.